Here is what's coming up in today's Frontline compilation. A Russian motorcycle scout team scrambles as an FPV drone hovers close. Engines roar, weapons swing wildly, and the buzzing threat just won't break off. How this chase ends is caught on camera. Russian Duran drones sweep toward an oil refinery in Ukraine. These upgraded models close in fast, with a different engine note and altered flight profile. What follows shows how the battlefield is shifting. A Ukrainian truck crew spots a hostile drone snaking in on fiber line control. The rear gunner shoulders a semi-automatic shotgun and takes his shot. Whether the defense works or not is seconds away. Russian vehicles push into contested ground near Kursk, only to meet layered Ukrainian defenses. Mines, drones, and anti-armor weapons are waiting ahead. What happens next marks a turning point in the fight. This is real footage, no effects, just raw moments from the battlefield. Subscribe to stay updated on every Frontline report and stick around to see it all unfold. Let's get into it. A pair of Ukrainian tanks surge forward near Novoprokopivka, captured in drone view as they plow into Russian defensive lines. Dust clouds mask their advance, but heavy machine guns still spit fire at close targets. Attempts by Russian troops to launch shoulder-fired weapons fall short. Their missiles skimming wide. The tanks pivot, hammering trenches with high explosive shells, leaving earthworks shattered. Each vehicle carries a 125mm smoothbore gun, giving them devastating reach. Even with scattered resistance, the armor continues cutting through positions at will. This clip raises the question, how long can lightly armed defenders resist such pressure? Russian Su-25 ground attack aircraft streaks low across the horizon when Ukrainian troops launch a shoulder-fired missile. The manpad arcs skyward, its seeker locking onto the jet's heat signature. The missile veers and dives, closing fast as the aircraft keeps level flight. These Soviet-era systems still carry lethal potential, with ranges of up to 6 kilometers. The footage shows the plume of impact, but cuts before confirming the jet's fate. What happens to the pilot after that strike remains unanswered. Drone footage from Ruskaya Konopelka shows firefights breaking across narrow village streets. Muzzle flashes spark from windows and alleys, while defenders trade bursts through broken walls. The terrain is cramped, with barns, homes, and sheds giving cover at every angle. Both sides shift positions rapidly, unable to maintain control for long. Small unit tactics dominate here. Grenades, rifles, and quick sprints across open yards. The recording illustrates how even small settlements become drawn-out battlefields. With neither side holding ground firmly, what unfolds next is far from certain. Ukrainian patrol triggers a buried Soviet OZM-72 jump mine during a foot march. The device pops from the ground as designed, propelled into the air beside the column. Instead of detonating, it tumbles back into the soil with a dull thud. Soldiers scatter, rifles ready, waiting for a delayed blast that never comes. The OZM-72 was engineered to burst into fragments mid-air, covering wide kill zones, but age and poor storage often leave charges inert. Relief is visible in the movement of the troops as they regroup. But this lucky break begs the question, how many more such traps lie ahead? A Russian T-72 tank takes a direct strike from a Ukrainian munition the moment caught from above. The impact flashes against the turret armor, smoke curling upward. Though the vehicle remains upright, shape-charged warheads are designed to pierce deep inside, bypassing external strength. The T-72, a Cold War design still widely fielded, has known vulnerabilities in its ammunition storage. Crews face serious risk even when damage looks superficial. The footage ends without clarity on crew survival or vehicle status, leaving viewers wondering if this strike alone was decisive or only the opening blow. Near Kursk, more than 50 Russian vehicles mass for an assault, moving in waves across open ground. Columns stretch across fields, their armored carriers pushing toward entrenched Ukrainian lines. Almost immediately, explosions erupt as artillery and drones strike from concealed positions. Some vehicles stall in fireballs while dismounting infantry scatter. Kamikaze drones dive among survivors, adding chaos. The Ukrainian 47th Mechanized Brigade reports dozens of vehicles lost, a rare chance to halt momentum with layered defenses. Watching the scattered wreckage grow, one question remains. How will surviving Russian units recover from such losses? A Russian soldier braces his weapon skyward as a small drone closes in. GoPro footage shows the engagement from his perspective, every second marked by the whine of approaching rotors. He steadies, squeezes, and miraculously strikes the airborne target, shredding it mid-flight. The drone falls in pieces across open ground. Small arms success against drones is rare, demanding both timing and luck. This moment, while brief, demonstrates that infantry can still fight back against aerial threats. The question that lingers is whether such isolated victories can scale against the growing drone presence. An FPV drone stalks a Russian motorcycle scout group, buzzing dangerously close. Riders swerve, trying to outpace the device while covering each other with rifles. The drone repeatedly feints into attack runs, nearly causing friendly fire as nerves fray. Eventually one of the bikes is struck, leaving its crew stranded without transport. The footage illustrates how vulnerable mobile scouts are to loitering munitions, even when speed is on their side. With the riders exposed and pinned down, the obvious question is whether more drones are already inbound. Russian Geran 3 drones roar across Ukrainian skies, their jet-powered engines giving a different signature from the older propeller-driven models. The higher speed makes interception difficult, though still not impossible. In this footage, several of the upgraded systems converge on an oil refinery. Their intended damage is not shown, but the tactic highlights how strike drones are evolving. For defenders, the challenge is learning to counter faster, smarter platforms before they can saturate the airspace. What unfolds next will show whether these improvements tip the balance. A pickup truck carries Ukrainian troops through contested ground when a fiber-controlled drone suddenly looms behind. The rear gunner, armed with a semi-automatic shotgun, fires as it closes in. The shot connects, blasting the machine apart only a few meters from the truck bed. The tactic highlights how small arms can still counter threats at extreme close range, though success depends on nerve and precision. The crew survives this attempt, but the footage leaves open the question: how many more drones might circle unseen? Columns of Russian vehicles advance into Kursk under drone surveillance. Anti-tank mines explode first, jolting armored carriers to a halt. PV drones follow, diving into stalled units as troops dismount in confusion. Ukrainian paratroopers coordinate fire, striking with handheld launchers and remote-dropped grenades. The ambush combines layered tools into one crushing defense, leaving wreckage scattered across the approach. Even so, Russian forces may regroup and press again. The video cuts before the full picture is clear. How long this Ukrainian holdout can last is the open question. Ukrainian Su-27 fighter sweeps into view, releasing a guided GBU-62 JDAM-ER bomb from altitude. The munition glides far ahead, homing on a Russian position deep in southern Ukraine. The use of extended range JDAM kits allows aircraft to strike while staying outside many air defense zones. At detonation, the targeted base erupts, dust and debris blanketing the area. Su-27s normally serve as interceptors, but here one adapts for strike work, showing Ukraine's flexible use of its aging fleet. The footage cuts soon after impact, leaving open the scale of destruction inflicted. A Russian soldier records himself resting in a dugout when an FPV drone suddenly slams into the position. The impact plunges the frame into darkness, the camera picking up nothing but muffled sound. Seconds later, light returns, revealing wreckage and dust clouding the air. The man's breathing continues, though he remains still on the ground. The strike demonstrates how drones can reach even behind-the-line shelters once thought safe. The clip ends abruptly, leaving viewers questioning whether the soldier recovers or if the recording serves as his final moment. Thermal imagery captures a Ukrainian Humvee under assault by successive FPV drones. The vehicle maneuvers, heat signature glowing white against the night. One strike rocks the frame, followed by a second impact within moments. The extent of crew damage is unclear, though the Humvee is known for light protection against blasts. This tactic of paired drones shows how operators maximize chances of disabling targets. As the smoke lingers, the unanswered question is whether more waves are en route or if the battered crew manages to escape. A reconnaissance drone follows a Russian infantry column attempting to cross open terrain. Suddenly, a Ukrainian machine gun team opens fire from a concealed position, cutting down several in seconds. An RPG streaks into the formation, detonating among clustered troops. Survivors scramble for cover but quickly face follow-on FPV strikes. The ambush demonstrates coordination between ground teams and drone operators, maximizing pressure on exposed units. Casualties mount rapidly, leaving only scattered resistance. As the video cuts, it's unclear whether any organized retreat is possible or if the squad is erased entirely. Near Velika Novosilka, Russian infantrymen are caught in the open by swarming FPV drones. The first dive bomb explodes among them, scattering survivors. Additional drones circle and attack in sequence, leaving no time for regrouping. These lightweight, improvised munitions are cheap, yet devastating against troops without cover. The 110th Mechanized Brigade released the footage to show how drone saturation shapes battles in the Donetsk countryside. The fate of the men is not shown directly, but their chances in the open field are clear. The question becomes, how do infantry adapt to survive this new era? In Lyman, a Russian tank reinforced with makeshift anti-drone armor lumbers forward. Sheets of metal and mesh cover nearly every surface, giving it a shed appearance. Ukrainian FPV drones ram the defenses again and again, each hit chipping away. At first, the tank continues its push, but repeated strikes eventually immobilize it. The incident shows how layered armor can delay but not prevent eventual destruction. The footage ends with the vehicle disabled, proof that improvised protection has limits. How many more of these so-called turtle tanks will Russia commit before results force a change? GoPro footage captures the moment a Russian infantryman attempts to sprint toward cover, only to be struck by a Ukrainian FPV drone. The blast throws him to the ground, and fragments scatter across the area. Wounded, he begins immediate self-aid, applying pressure to stem blood loss. Fellow troops rush in moments later, dragging him to relative safety. The footage is graphic, showing how quickly drones can shift from surveillance to lethal strike. What remains unanswered is whether the wounded soldier ultimately survives or becomes another casualty of drone warfare. A Russian supply truck laden with ammunition trundles through the Bakhmut sector when a munition strikes home. In an instant, the vehicle becomes a fireball, secondary blasts from shells tearing the frame apart. The explosion is catastrophic, visible for hundreds of meters. Trucks like this are lifelines for artillery units carrying tons of ordnance to frontline batteries. Its destruction underscores how logistics are now prime targets for precision strikes. The scene closes with wreckage still cooking off, leaving the fate of nearby units uncertain. An observation drone records Russian troops asleep in the ruins of a shattered building. Moments later, a Ukrainian FPV dives in, exploding among the resting soldiers. The strike is sudden, catching them completely off guard. The Ukrainian 47th Mechanized Brigade claims responsibility for the attack. This clip illustrates how even short respites from combat can turn fatal under constant drone surveillance. The outcome for those struck is unclear, but the message is clear. There is little true safety on these front lines. A Russian electronic warfare team brings down a Ukrainian PD-2 reconnaissance drone in Kherson. Instead of destroying it, the system forces the aircraft into a controlled descent where it lands in an open field. The PD-2 has a range of over 200 kilometers, making it a valuable tool for long-range scouting. Capturing it intact offers intelligence opportunities, as operators can study its systems and payload. The footage cuts before recovery is shown, leaving the final disposition of the drone uncertain. A Russian BM-21 Grad rocket launcher fires a salvo before attempting to relocate. A reconnaissance UAV tracks its movement, relaying coordinates. Moments later, an FPV drone locks in and slams into the launcher, detonating with force. The Grad, a Cold War-era system, has been a backbone of Russian artillery. Its destruction highlights how drones now play a decisive role in counter-battery warfare. The view ends with smoke rising from the strike site, leaving no doubt the launcher has been neutralized. Drone footage captures a direct artillery strike on a Russian Typhoon K MRAP near Kupiansk. The blast tears open the armored hull, scattering debris and toppling nearby trees. Survivors scramble away as fire consumes the wreck. The Typhoon K was designed to protect crews from ambushes and mines. But even reinforced armor proves vulnerable under heavy fire. As the smoke settles, the unanswered question is whether Russia can replace such vehicles fast enough to sustain operations. Ukrainian soldier films with a phone as a Russian Lancet loitering munition approaches. His squad opens fire, and remarkably, the drone is shredded in mid-air before impact. The incident underscores how small arms, in rare moments, can still down kamikaze drones. This defense depends on vigilance and luck, not technology alone. The clip ends with soldiers regrouping, still scanning the sky. It's left uncertain whether another strike is already inbound. Footage from Donetsk shows a crippled Russian T-64 struck by an anti-tank missile. The blast rips the vehicle apart, sending its turret flying skyward. When the massive hunk of steel crashes back down, it triggers a second detonation, throwing debris across the field. Observers speculate it may have landed on stored munitions or an unseen mine. Whatever the cause, the result is devastating. The camera cuts on the smoking wreck, leaving questions about how many more catastrophic losses this front will endure. A Russian Lancet drone slams into a Ukrainian Tu-S1 Gvozdika, catching the crew mid-evacuation. The explosion engulfs one soldier in flame, while others dive for cover. The Tu-S1, a self-propelled howitzer, has been a mainstay of Ukraine's artillery. Losing even a single unit impacts available firepower. The clip ends abruptly, showing only smoke rising from the disabled vehicle. Whether the crew survived remains uncertain, adding weight to the footage. That's today's raw footage. No filters, no fluff. This is M6 Archive. Always first on the front lines. Subscribe and share if you want more.